She feeds some other bugs. I'm getting too in the weeds here, I apologize.
I think we really need to know how many and which bugs were fed by what other bugs.
Unfortunately, the text doesn't say. We're probably not even keeping that. Why did I bother to clean up that audio?
Welcome to Inchworm,
the podcast in which we're inching through Worm. I'm Jenny.
And I'm Ted.
And this time we read the last chapter in the Plague arc.
12.8.
Yes, I was almost right. She does sort of have a secret plan, or at least recognizes that they might need one. I'm greatly relieved.
Yeah, okay, well, we should... I mean, that's the end of the chapter, so we should get the summary, but I do want to talk about that.
Okay, do you want me to tell you what happens in the chapter overall? So, Taylor did sleep in, but it's because she slept really badly, unfortunately. But she did get some sleep. She's really worried. She's like, I have to be well rested in case I have to fight the 9. She gets up. She's in a lot of pain from running barefoot across the city, from fighting Mannequin. She is in bad shape. She goes in to take a shower. The water pressure is terrible and the water is cold. And She takes a shower anyway. She reflects that her TV, laptop, and phone are all useless, so she doesn't really have a way of getting information. And there's kind of glass everywhere. Fortunately, her terraria on the second floor are hard plastic, not glass. She was very foresightful.
Those little ladies are going to be okay.
She goes down to the kitchen. Sierra and Charlotte fall silent as she enters. Taylor discovers very quickly that there is no food that hasn't been affected by Shatterbird's power. Everything's kind of exploded and full of glass in the kitchen. So she sends both of her minions on errands. She sends Charlotte to go talk to Regent, who's close by, his territory is close, to tell him about Mannequin and get details on what happened to Tattletale and the father. Sierra, she asks to go get some rice from a supply box in the basement and start cooking it and start cleaning up the kitchen. And she and Sierra have a conversation. Taylor goes to get like a broom and dustpan, and Sierra's like, you're cleaning up too? They have a conversation about how Sierra was at the hospital. She did try to warn people. They didn't really believe her until Battery showed up. At that point, there wasn't a lot of time. They couldn't really do a lot. Battery then tried to grab Sierra to find out how she knew, and Sierra ended up sort of hiding. And Taylor asks about her parents, and Sierra's like, yeah, they're fine. And Taylor's like, good. And Sierra's like, you're not what I expected. And Taylor's like, yeah, I'm not what I expected either. And Sierra sort of haltingly tells her that she heard the rumor that Armsmaster said after the Endbringer attack that Taylor was someone who wanted to be a hero but couldn't. Sierra seems kind of uncertain about her word choice there. And Taylor's like, yeah, it took me a while, but I decided I wanted people like Gru and Tattletale at my back instead of Armsmaster. And Sierra's like, is Armsmaster that bad? And Taylor's like, yeah, well, bad enough that Mannequin wanted him to be a member of the Slaughterhouse 9. So anyway, after that conversation, Taylor goes to sweep the glass up from her floor, the third floor. She uses bugs to help her find the shards that she might not find. She does some other bug maintenance. She sends small and weak bugs to feed the spiders, especially the ones that she used against Mannequin last night. She's still cleaning when Sierra says that she's got company, and it turns out to be Gru. And Gru is like, oh my god, I heard you fought Mannequin. Do you have a death wish? And Gru asks Sierra to leave so that he can talk to Taylor alone. Taylor's like, please tell me you don't have bad news about Lisa or my dad. Turns out her dad is fine. Lisa is alive, but is going to have a scar. Gru's like, yeah, she seems weirdly okay with it. I don't get it. And Taylor's like, yeah, she's probably not okay with it, but this is how she faces things. And Gru kind of calls her out and like, well, you're like really good at analyzing people. And Taylor's like, I don't know, not really, only sometimes. And Brian gets on her case about how fast she's going, kind of the thing he was talking about before. He's like, you're going too hard, you're going to self-destruct. And she's like, no, but I can't pause. And she tells him about the deal she struck with Coil, that if she makes herself invaluable, he will release Dinah. And Brian's like, no, there's more to it. And Taylor's like, yeah, I mean, Lisa and I agree that he's probably not going to let her go. And Brian's like, yeah, I mean, that sounds right. And Taylor's about to tell him more when they get interrupted. Sierra is outside down the street tapping her finger against the cube with the bug in it. And so Taylor goes to get on her costume, and she and Brian go to find Sierra, who's talking to a pair of Japanese boys and a Chinese girl who strike Taylor as gang members. She's like, yeah, there would still be ABB members around. And they want to know if Taylor's still recruiting. They heard she took on Mannequin. They had also heard from Charlotte or Sierra that she's a good boss. She treats people well. They had thought that meant she was weak. But now they think that she's strong because she fought Mannequin. So they want to work for her. She's like, okay, well, here are the rules. I'm not here to prey on the people in my territory. And they're like, yeah, that sounds good. And they don't have anywhere to live. So she takes them to like a big empty building, some kind of garage maybe, that's full of trash, but like recyclables, it seems like, that had been scattered by Leviathan's attack. And ask them to clean it up, and the girl asks why, and like, can we get a sense of like what your goals are here? And Taylor's like, well, I want you to live somewhere close so I can keep tabs on you, and my goal overall is to bring people in from the edges of the territory, kind of consolidate people in the center. People are too spread out. It makes it really hard to help them, and there are a lot of problems that would be better served by people working together. So I want to kind of create a community. And Gru's like, there's going to be resistance. And Sierra's like, yeah, but if she's going to ask people to move, now is a really good time because word's getting out about your fight against Mannequin. You said you'd make him pay, and then you did, and you did it to save people, specifically these people. And Taylor's like, okay. So her 3 new recruits start cleaning up the space. She starts telling Sierra how she wants to use it, put in bunk beds, and then she and Sierra and Gru have a little talk where Gru's like, you're going to have to watch these new people. She's like, yeah, I know. Will you escort Sierra? I want her to go talk to the boss, tell him what's going on, let him know the things that I need. And so she's going to go do that. But then 3 more people show up, 3 guys who are maybe brothers, who are like, okay, are you recruiting? We heard this. We don't want to do anything illegal. And she's like, no, that's fine. You want to help with some cleanup? I'll pay you. And they're like, really? The one guy's like, can I go get my cousin? He'll be interested too. So he goes, Sierra leads the other 2 guys inside, and Gru has this moment alone with Taylor and is like, okay, you're still moving too fast. What was it you were going to tell me when we were interrupted earlier? And Taylor's like, okay, do I trust him? She decides that she's going to trust him. And she says the reason she's doing this is if she doesn't amaze Coil, then he's not going to release Dinah, and then the only way to free her is going to be if Tattletale and I take Coil down, and I don't think we'd succeed. And that's the end of the chapter. Yeah. So, love that beat. It's kind of a middle ground between where I thought we were and where I was hoping that we were. Mm-hmm. And I think it makes a lot of sense that it is where we are. I was hoping that they were already acting on a secret plan to bring down Coil. It seemed from the text up to this point that, like, there was no secret plan at all. Like, Taylor's just like, this is the way, the one way. Please Coil and I will get what I want. And while that was understandable in some ways, it seemed really dense that she thought it would work. And it makes a lot more sense in this context of, okay, she knows it's probably not going to work, but she's desperate to make it work because she's very aware of the other possibility, which is probably one she's gonna have to go to if she can't, like, pull a miracle out of thin air here. And she thinks it would take a bigger miracle to actually take Coil down. Yeah. So, yeah. Which is understandable. Like, Lisa has a lot of information. She knows how well entrenched Coil is. Taylor is a fairly reasonable person. She's going to recognize, like, yeah, no, that would be really hard. And so she's clinging to this other possibility. But, like, I think she and Tattletale both know they're gonna end up having to try to take Coil down. Like, Taylor's kind of spinning her, like, scrambling desperately against the tide, trying to make this other thing work. Yeah. But I do think the way she's been approaching it makes sense, as she doesn't really have a lot of hope. She's just kind of desperate. Yeah. Because she can see the other option looming, and it's so bad. Yeah. What do you think is worst about it for her? Worst about the option of trying to take Coil down? That's an interesting question. I mean, she doesn't think that she would succeed, which is, a bad thing.
Right. There's a little bit of this, like, at the end of Arc 8, she had this moment of, like, I have to be better than them. Mm-hmm. And her reflection here does seem to be, like, you know, she's trying to be as good, or rather as effective as she can be. But the other possibility she's facing is, well, no matter how effective I am, I'm not strong enough, right? Like, mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if she's better if she's not also stronger, like strong enough to win, which is an interesting thing that she might be thinking about. I had another thought as well, which is in this arc, we had her reflecting on facing down the 9, and she was mm-hmm. so angry. She was like, I could kill them. But that wouldn't make sense. I would die, you know, like, and she's like, mm-hmm. but, and how much am I waffling or whatever? And so now that we have this revelation about what's going on with Coil, I'm wondering how much she's hesitating because she's not strong enough, mm-hmm. because she doesn't have a plan that she thinks she would work, but, you know, maybe also because of the cost of what it would mean to take him down, in the sense of, like, is she going to have to kill him? Is she going to have to do stuff that she wouldn't be able to come back from as part of that, right?
I mean, it's really daunting in several ways. Like, she would have to probably kill him. Like you were saying, she'd have to do things that maybe she doesn't have the stomach for. But also, she would then, I mean, maybe she hasn't been thinking this far, but, like, there would be this criminal organization without a head. Like, what do you do with the, like, the fallout is going to be enormous. Like, it's such a complex thing to deal with, even if you succeed. Yeah. That is an interesting question, though. Is she afraid of failure or success there?
Yeah.
Fascinating that Lisa has signed on with her.
Say more.
I mean, Lisa has been, like, Coil refers to her as my tattletale. Doesn't mean she's on his side, but, you know, she has been the person most connected to the boss. She's been the person who's sort of the boss's mouthpiece in the Undersiders, which makes it seem like she's the most on his side. That's not really the reason that she's, like, the reason that she's in that position is because, well, she already knows who he is, so she's the one he talks to. And she got sort of strong-armed into that position, you know.
Yeah.
It seems like in that conversation they had at the end of Arc 8, Lisa was convinced by her own horror at the Dinah situation, her desire for friendship with Taylor, her desire to escape from the position Coil's kind of put her in that she never really actively chose, some combination of all of those things. It seems like she has actually agreed to fully be on Taylor's side and help her free Dinah, even if it means turning on Coil, which is a huge thing to sign on for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the stability of her life. Again, not one that she actively chose, but she's in a pretty good position in a lot of ways.
Right.
She's invaluable to Coil. Maybe not as much as Dinah is, but she's still very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, she has everything she could want to live on. She has interesting work to do. Like,
yeah, so we get here, right, it is confirmation of sort of our fears, right, that Tattletale kind of talked Taylor down from doing something self-destructive. Again, what Brian is cautioning Taylor about here.
Yeah. Right. Doing something pointless and futile. Yeah.
Yeah. But, right, the implication is very much Taylor and Lisa are in on it together, right? Like, Taylor's been invited into Lisa's inner sanctum almost all the way. You know, Lisa's like, I'm working up to telling you some things I don't want to tell you, but I'm not there yet. But, like, that seems like maybe that is, it's a little bit more genuine. And we've been reminded that Taylor is unique in that she knows literally what Coil's power is, right? So that revelation was a big...
That's part of the new trust between them.
Yeah, a big
it's part of them being allied against Coil.
Right, that even we saw on screen, right, at the end of Arc 8, was that reveal.
Right.
So yeah, it really seems like the beat at the end of the chapter is Taylor admitting to us because she's deciding to softly recruit Brian into their alliance of two.
Yeah. So really interesting that because this is the end of the arc, we're not going to get Brian's immediate reaction, probably. But I bet we get his interlude.
Ooh,
I bet we get his interlude.
That would be really exciting.
Yeah, which might involve his immediate reaction. I would like to predict his reaction, which is he thinks she's crazy. He is by far the most cautious member of the group. he absolutely has put a stake in the ground of like, no. I look out for the people I already care about. Dinah's not one of those people. Therefore, even though it's really disturbing what's happening to her, I'm not in a position to help her, and I don't need to put myself in that position. It's really not kind of my business. He wants to play it safe. He wants to keep the status quo, which is working for him. And he is not someone who would like turn around and tell Coil what they're doing. I think he's someone who will say like, no, you have absolutely lost it. There's no way that will work. And within an arc, he'll be fully on their side. I feel like he's just someone you have to slow play in that way.
Yeah.
His initial reaction is going to be completely incredulous, like very skeptical of like any feasibility in that direction. But he really likes Taylor. He really likes her ideals, even if he doesn't think he can afford to have them. And therefore he can't afford to approve of them. But he wants to.
Yeah.
And he would much rather be allied with her and Tattletale than not, I think.
Yeah. I'm reminded in the way you're describing that of how the bank job plan went, as like Lisa keeps explaining it and Brian's like, no, also no, but then she's like, I knew you would say that, so I prepare, like she lays out all the things, and then finally she's like, I didn't want to tell you guys, but actually it's a crazy amount of money. And he does, right, he eventually comes around. I also love that point, right? Part of what he says to Taylor in this chapter is, you've been doing some very un-Taylor-like things.
Oh, right. She has not been being cautious because this is just so much less reckless than her other plan.
Well, no, but connecting it to like the way he sees her, right? I feel like he's very much anchored to the Arc 7 Taylor, who was like, well, I kind of thought you were honorable and I don't really like this side of you. And he's now looking at what she's doing, taking over her territory. And like, you could read it as like, just a purely like, oh, you're being reckless instead of like a calculated supervillain or whatever. But I feel like there's also this part of him that was connecting to like Taylor in a deeper level, like beyond just kind of like a coworker, but someone who he could admire, like the way that she thought about things. And he's like, you don't seem like yourself, right? The version of Taylor that he's connecting to, I feel like, is one from a pre-Leviathan era.
Yeah, and she does, she still has those traits, but like the circumstances she's in are such that she is being a bit more frantic about it than she would be otherwise.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so before we move on from the Dinah thing, like, how do you feel about the way this has resolved that narrative tension? Because we've really been kept at arm's length until she brought Brian in. Yeah. And like you said, it's not the super satisfying, well, there's been a plan the whole time, but it's also not sort of the worst version, which is like Lisa kind of,
talked her out of ever
her to
wanting
the dark side, and now she's just depressed.
Yeah, I do think like it doesn't seem like they're actively working on a plan to bring down Coil, but I would be shocked if Lisa isn't already thinking about it, if she hasn't already started putting out a few, like not necessarily pieces into place, but like started to put things together in her mind for how they might do it. Because she is someone who thinks like that. Yeah. And Taylor is not really, like her analysis tends to be much more short term in what we've seen, I feel like. Like she's very good at analyzing the situation in front of her and dealing with that. Well, I say that, but like I think maybe some of her lack of long-term strategic thinking might be like the story not wanting to give away what's going to happen. So.
But I feel like also with the insinuation plan and with Dinah, we've had her be in these like, I have this really important motivator, but no ability to fill in the A to B in a specific way.
The question mark,
because
profit?
She never gets through the question marks. Right. She's like, oh, I'm about to write that email. I'm about to,
And Lisa does see, I think, more clearly at a greater distance. So I think Lisa probably is already working on things, even if there's not a specific plan.
Yeah.
My question now is, how will the other, because I do think Brian will end up on their side, though it will be a slow process, how the other two will fall in. And I think Regent is extremely gettable.
Okay.
I think if Gru, Tattletale, and Skitter are all on board with this, Regent doesn't care about Coil. He cares about money, but, like, there are a lot of ways for him to get money. And he has people now, and insofar as he can care about anything, he cares about them.
Yeah.
And so I do think he's going to be like, okay, sure, whatever, is going to be his attitude. Like, really? That seems maybe dumb. Okay, fine. Like,
these other guys are smart, sure.
Yeah. Bitch, I have no idea, because she's at this huge tipping point right now where I don't even know if she's going to end up with the Undersiders. She might join the Slaughterhouse 9.
Yeah.
I think if she does get one back to the Undersiders, it will involve a huge strengthening of her allegiance to them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the only way she'll be won back. And in that case, she probably, will easily side with them against Coil because she'll trust them.
Coil.
Yeah. Oh, well, yeah.
She
also
hates
that.
Pretty much everybody.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so that question is a little bit outside of the Coil thing, but yeah. Oh, but I'm so excited to see how it plays out.
How do you feel about, like, Taylor's hesitancy to trust Brian, but then her willingness to go there in this chapter?
It makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, why tell Brian sooner, like, he doesn't need to know for the plan. He is certainly the Undersider that she trusts the most. I mean, before the whole Leviathan, I would say maybe she trusts him more than Lisa. At this point, she and Lisa have established this really strong trust, but she also, like, Brian is someone that she easily trusts. So it makes sense to me that she would end up trusting him and, like, kind of making this leap of faith here. But also, why do it before you have to? Also, because he's definitely going to tell her that it's crazy and she, needs to stop.
I think it's just what you would do when your friend who cares about you is asking you about something that you're like, not quite ready to share.
Yeah,
like,
not ready to share.
This is a real Taylor prioritizing friendship beat to me, as kind of like things have been so bad with Brian.
Right, she's not going to continue to lie to him.
There's been enough time, and even in this conversation, it's like very much, they're kind of talking past each other a bit, and he's nagging her about her recklessness or whatever. And right, Taylor really wants to be authentic, right? And it's just looking for any excuse to be like, okay, well, we've sort of set things back on a good path here, and I'm just going to be honest with him, which is, right, she's not thinking really strategically. I mean, maybe there's a part of her that is like, well, if it's going, I have the beginnings of a plan, and obviously I would need Gru as part of it, but I think it's just more kind of she wants to be honest, and we'll find a use for him in the plan later.
And I think that ideally sort of her orientation about this is like, if we're going to take Coil down, it would be best to have all the Undersiders on board. Like, I don't know if that's something she specifically thought to herself, but of course she wants all the Undersiders on board. And Brian is the obvious first get there.
It's also like, it feels more like Taylor that it's been 3 or 4 arcs before she could go to somebody and say, I'm thinking of a plan and I want you on my side, right?
Yeah. She didn't even say the second part.
The way she was feeling at the end of arc 8, it's like we were immediately like, okay, well, first lock down all the Undersiders, then go to Fault Line's crew, right? Like, then go to the wards, and right, like, sort of like, and like that she could be this very active person going around, like, winning people to her side, and like it would have been so out of character in a way where I feel like this, like, very slow, she's like, I'm just trying to do it all myself. And then it's been long enough and she has enough of a connection to Brian that she's like, well, maybe I can let somebody in. Right.
That's such a good point. Yes. Yes, I was immediately like, build the whole coalition. The anti-coalition.
Yes.
Yeah. And it is, I feel like her power is almost a foreshadowing of where she's going to end up, in that she deals in strength and numbers, right? It's all the strands of spider silk coming together, but it's not how she automatically operates with people.
Yeah.
Loved the conversation with Brian where he's like, you're really good at reading all of us. And she's like, what? No, I'm not that good at people. I mean, sometimes. And I don't think she is actually that good at people in a global sense. But she's very analytical and she cares a lot about relationships with people. So she thinks about it. Even if she doesn't have a particular gift for people, she has a gift for analysis in general and she's turning it on people because that's what's there, you know.
I mean, I think that is a good read on her, but it's also just such a clear example of Taylor not being able to take a compliment.
Also that, yeah. I think she's not particularly bad at people, but she does have a huge blind spot when it comes to how she is perceived and to her own characteristics.
Yeah.
So that, in that sense, she is very bad at knowing how to present herself to people, even if she can read them well.
And she doesn't want to be seen as somebody with a lot of social intelligence, right? She wants to be seen as somebody who took down Mannequin, right? Like she gets that beat again where these like future soldiers of hers are basically saying like, yeah, you took down Mannequin and you did that for us and that's awesome. And she's like, yeah, no one had like really acknowledged that what I did was awesome, right? And
maybe because you didn't let anyone talk to you after you did it.
Right, or she assumed they're criticizing her or whatever.
Yeah.
But then Brian comes in, and of course, because he's Brian, he doesn't say, that was so cool. I can't believe you took down one of the Slaughterhouse 9. That's awesome. He's like, do you have a death wish? Like, you knew it was like coin flip odds. Like, how dare you risk your life that way? Right. And then of course, Taylor's not like, you should be telling me how cool I am for taking down Mannequin. Even though that's what she wants to hear. She's thinking like, well, if I took him down, he can't have been that strong.
I know. She's so self-deprecating. She's like, he wasn't that tough. I mean, it was tough, but he was beatable. By you, Taylor. I love Brian's concern about her. It sort of fits into the thing he said about how he sees her almost as his little sister, like how much he cares about her.
Yeah.
And of course he feels protective in that way. But then also her being like, I mean, no, I knew the odds. I figured a 45% chance was worth it to like potentially save these people. And I feel like that goes to show how you asked about why she isn't going up against Coil. It's not because she thinks she's going to be killed. It's because she is willing to risk her life when it matters. It is for some other reason, like she thinks she'd fail and her objective is too important for her to fail.
Yeah.
Or she isn't willing to take the violent move and kill him or whatever is required.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's so interesting, right? I feel like those parts of her are in tension because she doesn't think going up against Mannequin, I'll probably die. In fact, I know, like it was prophesied that it's most likely that this encounter ends in my death. She doesn't think of it once.
Yeah.
She sees the doctor get killed and she is all in on no matter what, I am going to find a way to beat Mannequin. And she's going to do whatever it takes short of letting her people die.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you know, it's kind of the thing where like she has such a visceral reaction in arc 7 to the Dinah revelation. She is monomaniacal about it through the past few arcs, right? That she's just thinking about the Dinah thing, even though it's kind of at a remove, right? But it feels like there's a part of her that gets set off, right? Or the part of her that was like, we're not leaving until I rescue Charlotte, right? That I'm not sure that part couldn't be triggered against Coil or for Dinah at some future moment.
Yeah, yeah. It does. I mean, side note, but it makes me think about how really dehumanizing isn't quite the right word, but like alienating from her identity it was for her to be so passive to the bullies for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like she was really leashing herself because she knew it wasn't going to be effective or because she was afraid of what she would do to that, you know. A lot at the beginning, probably because she was just really confused about what was happening.
Yeah.
Like it was really counter to her nature in a way that was probably part of what was so difficult about it.
That is a really, really cool parallel to what she's going through now. Right? This idea that Coil has the upper hand on her post-Dinah reveal. in the same way that the bullies did. And as she was being bullied, right, she could have struck out at any time.
Yeah.
But she chose not to. And part of it was like wanting to be better than them. And part of it was also because like, well, there'd be no point. Yeah. There's no point. There's no win for me there.
But unlike the bullies, Coil, she feels like deserves the full brunt of her strength. Like, you know, she could go carry on Coil and it would be justified.
But she's in this holding pattern of having to control herself and even worse, work with him, work under him. And she is capable of that self-control.
Yeah.
But of course, it brings her back into that mindset that she had that year in school. And so no wonder she's falling apart.
And that is exactly why this plan that she's currently enacting to save Dinah won't work, because it is so contrary to her nature to just swallow her objections and work peacefully with Coil. She couldn't actually do that long term.
Yeah.
She can do it right now for this short burst that is intended to save Dinah, but this plan involves her being so invaluable to Coil in perpetuity. And she cannot do that. That is not who she is.
Yeah.
So it's going to be plan B.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is the part, right, that she is most delusional about. I feel like that hasn't changed, and she hasn't acknowledged that. The sort of like...
That's because, you know, it takes a while to accept that this huge impossible thing that you'll almost definitely fail at is in fact the only option. Like, of course you don't want that to be true.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds me, actually, like, I feel like... It feels like how I felt about, like, coming out as queer, like, as bi. Like, looking back, like, of course I could have known that for, like, 10 years before I actually admitted it to myself.
Yeah.
But, like, if I admitted it, there would be all of these consequences. I mean, not that I don't know that I would have experienced any real negative, but like I would have had to think of myself differently. I would have had to figure out how to tell people. It would have been this sort of minor bomb going off in my life and in my identity. And so of course you just put it off as long as possible until it becomes completely inarguable and it somehow breaks through that veil. Yeah. And she is still in the putting it off phase. She's in the denial phase of her.
That's such a good example, and it's a really good way to illustrate I think we talked about this earlier, but Taylor is frustrating as a protagonist in this part of her story, but in a way that is so psychologically real. Yeah. And like, it's like, so it's so frustrating because you just kind of want to shake her loose and be like, look, just admit it. Like, just admit it and move on to the part of the narrative we want to see. But of course, that's not how people work. And like, it's a really lovely thing that Wildbow is doing with her.
Yeah. And it's really hard to write a protagonist like that and give her that sense of like agency and moving forward while still having her be in denial about this. Yeah. I bet it also parallels like people who are aware on some level that they're in like a relationship or a situation or something that they need to leave and don't want to admit it to themselves because once they admit it, they'll have to do something about it. And, And Taylor is so authentic. She's not really good at hiding herself in that way. But she is good at not thinking long term when she doesn't want to.
Right.
I bet Tattletale knows. Oh, of course Tattletale knows. Tattletale knows they aren't doing this plan.
That's really funny.
Like that conversation they had a couple arcs ago when they went to see the merchants where Taylor's like, I just really want to succeed. And Lisa's like, yeah, I really want you to succeed. Like, she knows she's not going to. Like, Tattletale is definitely already putting pieces in place for we're going to have to bring down Coil because she knows that Taylor can't do this thing. Even if Taylor succeeds in the short term, she can't succeed in the long term. And she almost definitely won't succeed in the short term either. So
I love that. And but it is kind of like maybe Lisa also knows that sitting Taylor down and like trying to
there'd be no point
psychoanalyze her and kind of explain some of these things to her would
and
not
also
would
there's
not
no need
well.
to do it yet because they're not ready. There are probably still a bunch of things Tattletale needs to do before they could move on to that phase of the plan.
Yeah.
And it must be so weird being Lisa and her power lets her skip forward so much in like
the spoilers effect.
Chains of logic, like, oh yeah, we're gonna end up at this point.
Yeah.
And she can't bring people along with her. She kind of has to just wait for them to catch up.
Yeah. But I mean, that's also so real. Like, I feel like in our relationship, seeing someone you care about and know well work through some personal piece of baggage, sometimes it's really easy for another person to see the destination and just be like, yeah, well, have you thought about this? And it doesn't land. And then a few months later, you say like,
hey,
oh, well.
this.
yeah, exactly. It's just kind of how people are.
Yeah, people have to move at their own paces. I feel like this in critiquing other people's writing. Sometimes you're like, okay, I can see these like 5 like major ways they need to improve, but you can't tell them that because they won't be able to do anything with that information.
Yeah.
Like they are not ready to see that. If they were, they'd be farther along than they are. You just have to go on the journey at the pace you can go on.
Yeah.
But interestingly, if Lisa knows they're going to end up with plan B, why did she talk Taylor out of it at the beginning? I mean, I'm speculating. I'm so far into the realm of speculation here. I can't assume that that's a given. But it does just make me intrigued.
Well, what we got in this chapter, so Lisa suggested the deal. But knowing Coil, and from what Lisa says, and from the way Coil framed it when I posed the deal to him, and just my gut, we don't think he's going to let her go. Mm-hmm. I think you can read that as...
Yeah, maybe Lisa didn't talk her out of it. Maybe Lisa was like, well, here are 2 options. And Taylor's like, well, obviously I need to try this option first.
Yeah.
And Lisa's like, okay, that's not going to work.
Yeah, I do think Lisa talked her down, but Taylor seems to think Lisa is equally, if not more, skeptical of Plan A. Just in reading this little passage here. That, like, Lisa has pointed out Coil's not going to go for it. And then Taylor going from we... Right. She's including Lisa in this, like, it's not going to work.
I wonder if Lisa has a little bit of her own denial going on where she's kind of hoping that Taylor will give up on this. Because it would be easier if everyone just went along with this. But Taylor feels important enough to her that she's not willing to just cut Taylor loose and go along with Coil herself.
And I mean, right, she was like, hey, Taylor, let's go out and party. And she was like, hey, I told Brian, like, that, you know, he shouldn't have treated you that way and said all that mean stuff about you, right? So she has taken some actions to try and just, like, make Taylor happier, you know, outside of all of her emotional baggage.
She really cares about the people who are hers, and she's really taken Taylor on as hers. Speaking of taking on people.
Yes.
Should we talk about the actual contents of the chapter?
Yes.
Aside from just the one last paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like you were like maybe a little skeptical that we would get here so soon.
I didn't expect my hopes to be rewarded this fast.
Yeah.
But absolutely, I mean, the mannequin fight was hugely powerful and it's really transformed. Yeah. Taylor's, like, the perception of Taylor and her territory. They were all like, who's this weird bug girl who's creepy and also nice, but what? Like, is she just like a weird, weak supervillain?
Right. She's creepy, nice, and strong. So now we love her.
Creepy, nice, and strong. Yeah. It's like, what a weirdo, but we'll follow her. But yeah, I mean, like, what a move, standing up to mannequin for your people. Like,
the bit where Sierra was like, well, actually, word's getting around. I was like, yes!
I feel like Sierra has really been won over.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Sierra was like smiling at Taylor and saying, you're not what I expected. I was like, yes. Because she was much more skeptical than Charlotte. Yeah. Charlotte and Sierra whispering about Skitter, about Taylor, when she comes downstairs, like, what do you think they were saying? I know you can't really speculate, but...
Oh, well, that whole scene is lovely, right? Because Taylor is in recovery mode. She's at the end of her rope, and poor girl is like, I need any semblance of normal.
Yeah.
I want to make eggs. Like, let me just make a nice breakfast like Danny and I would make back at home, right?
Yeah.
And she comes down and she's like, oh God, I have minions. I have minions. You know, like, this is awkward, right?
Oh no, and all my food is destroyed.
So, yeah, I think sure they're just like, did you hear this about mannequin?
I know, I'm sure they were just talking about it. And
Charlotte was like, you're not going to believe it.
Yeah.
And Sierra's like, oh my God, and that doctor died? You know, like, right, they're going back and forth.
Right, because Sierra wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Taylor's enormous blind spot for herself kicks in, and she's like, oh, it's just such a bummer that I seem mortal and wounded in front of them, when they're like, she's the coolest we've ever seen.
Yeah, I actually loved that beat, because Taylor goes over and it's like, well, all of my little glass spice bottles have exploded, destroying the rest of the food in the cupboard. And then she turns back to look at her minions, And I think it's Charlotte who flinches away.
Yeah.
And Taylor has that immediate self-deprecating thought of like, she must see me as weak. And it's so obviously not that, right? It could be...
Could be that she looks really beat up.
Yeah, right. It could be that, you know, she's feeling sorry for her.
Yeah.
It could be shame, because we know Charlotte was there at the mannequin fight and she didn't help, right? She saw that hipster guy help, but she didn't help.
And if Taylor can fight mannequin hand to hand, why could, you know, maybe she'd demand the same thing of her minions.
Yeah, there's this great beat later where Sierra speaks up. I think it's Sierra, and Gru like turns to her, interrupts her, and Sierra is intimidated by him.
Yeah.
And Taylor's like, oh yeah, well, Gru intimidated Sierra. And then earlier, right, she doesn't even think, maybe I just seem intimidating. And that's why Charlotte flinches away.
Of course she doesn't feel intimidating.
Right.
Like, she knows that she can be scary as Skitter, but she still has this, like, the mental leap from her self-image of herself, especially someone who was bullied for all those years and, like, obviously wasn't intimidating. Why would she be bullied if she were intimidating? And she's, like, small and skinny and, like, young and all this stuff. And she just can't get there for herself.
Yeah. I think that part of what is terrifying about her, even in her Taylor form, is I don't think Charlotte and Sierra know anything about what the next thing out of her mouth will be, right? Like, she might be like, you have failed me and I will kill you and there's nothing you can do about it. She might be like, you two, I'm going to adopt you and now, you know, like, here's the paperwork. She's going to be like, I've decided we're all moving up to Canada. We're joining the guild, you know, like, and you have to come with me and, like, your family needs to meet me at midnight. Or you're like, she could say anything, right? There's no, right? Like she's just been so mystifying.
That's hilarious. I love that. Yeah. But okay, so Sierra has been won over. All of these people who want to come be recruits. It's great. It's the moment, the time is ripe for Taylor to consolidate her people because they'll listen to her right now. They'll be willing to move and sacrifice some of their autonomy in favor of community.
Yeah. And we got some more Sierras, the brothers and cousins who showed up.
Yeah.
They were like, we don't want to do any illegal stuff.
Right.
Like,
the ABB members, former ABB members are a little different.
But yeah, what did you make of the soldiers? As Taylor refers to them, like, minutes after meeting them.
The new former ABB recruits. Yeah, I was intrigued by the thing where Taylor, like, lists off the things that she won't allow, and they kind of look at each other, and she's like, what was it that had, like, set off their...
Yeah, what do you think? It was no starting violence, no drug dealing, no prostitution, no threatening people, no drug use or drinking unless it's 100% limited to your own time.
I mean, the last one seems the most likely. But I don't know. We'll probably find out a lot more about these people.
I sort of like the idea that it's like the idea that you can get drunk even when you're off duty is like a privilege that you wouldn't be afforded if you were in, you know, like a real military organization. That's funny. Right? But I sort of think it's more likely that they're like, there's probably part of them that is like, but wait, why is this fun if we don't get to do this other stuff?
Yeah.
Maybe that's not charitable enough towards them.
Right. They might just be like, what kind of weird gang is this that we're joining?
Yeah.
The skitizens.
I really like how the soldiers, especially the girl, are kind of like impertinent and annoying teens. Right? Taylor's like, yeah, they were complaining a lot about the work, but like in a way that I didn't mind.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they weren't like mad at me. They were just, you know.
I love how the girl was like, why are we cleaning this up? And Taylor's like, is it not enough that I'm telling you? She's like, no, it would just be helpful to know. Like,
yeah.
What the idea is.
It's so funny. And they're not intimidated by her the way civilians are, right? So she's probably not as scary as Loon.
Yes. Right? Well, yeah.
Yeah, I do. The thing that I love about this, though, is, right, that she is winning people over, right? Sierra's story is people know you're for real, which is kind of like Taylor's dreams coming true. But the soldiers say, like, you are strong. Yeah. And we want to work for, you know, the strong man, right? Like, so it really is, I think we were talking about this before, like, the extent to which power and strength command respect and loyalty versus all of the intentions that Taylor has that differentiate her from other villains, right? It's like...
Right, those former ABB members
how much would you lose,
villain, maybe.
Right, one group or the other, right.
Right, and she's managing to hold both right now.
Yeah.
The thing where Sierra was at the hospital was like, Shatterbird's gonna sing, and everyone was like, we don't believe you, and then Battery shows up, and then, you know, like, oh, really? Like, of course, they only believe a hero. There's this huge public perception problem. But I love that in this little corner, you know, in Taylor's territory, in Skitterland, they are starting to believe her. They're starting to see that she's for real.
Yes.
She doesn't have the stamp of official, like, safety and approval from the government gatekeepers.
Yeah.
So she has to, you know, do it herself. DIY hero cred.
What do you make of the little anecdote about Battery showing up? Like, can we give the heroes any credit for being proactive, or do you feel like that's just a coincidence?
Well, it sounds like Battery showed up with the information, so it couldn't be a coincidence.
Right, but like, why would she have to show up in person?
So that they believe her.
Versus, like, call.
Well,
Couldn't
that's
you
a good
call
point.
the hospital?
She could call. The phones weren't dead
I'm really
yet.
trying to, like, give the hero some credit, but I do wonder if it's just, like...
She probably showed up because it's
patrol.
a high priority area. Like, a hospital is an area with a lot of glass, with a lot of people who need protection. Yeah. And so she probably physically could help them with some of the prep.
Yeah. So in the time since the meeting, like, Miss Militia went home and then was like, okay, we need to go inform all the high priority targets that Shatterbird might attack soon. And Battery just happened to be at this hospital.
Well, I don't think it was Miss Militia came back from the meeting. I assume that... Since the Slaughterhouse-9 was telling the Unravelers about this, they probably told other people. Some people told the heroes. Like, I assume the heroes knew specifically about the deadline.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right, well, we could give that to them.
Yeah, most likely. But the fact that Battery spent most of her time trying to find Sierra and find out how she knew is, like, fairly sketch as behavior leading up to Shatterbird singing.
I also just like that as sort of a lurking cops and robbers thread.
Yes.
Because, like... Taylor so does not care about any of that right now.
Right.
But we just get this little thread from Sierra being like, I had to dodge. You know, like, in the live action TV adaptation of Worm, where they have a million seasons and they're trying to pad out the runtime, you know that there's going to be a B plot in some episode of Battery chasing Sierra through a hospital that, like, doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. It's very Die Hard.
Yeah.
Sierra is John McClane. I love that Danny's okay.
Oh, yeah, right. The father.
Yes, the father. That was so funny. I mean, well put. Regent would have understood. Weird enough that Charlotte might not put it together. I don't love that Tattletale's going to have this scar, but, like, that's kind of what we expected. That was my prediction, that she would be okay, but she would have this scar. It sounds like she can still talk, probably. It's just going to be a visual disfiguring. I'm
so relieved that I don't have to screen all Lisa fan art for whether it is pre or post.
Scar! It's going to be
getting
cool.
Jack slashed.
Yes. Oh, what a good point. Gru, it is sexist for you to immediately be like, why doesn't this girl care about spoiling her looks? Since he was wondering.
Gender essentialism is showing again. I mean, but I do, as much as it is fun to dunk on Brian for this, I do feel like it is fairly realistic for a teenage boy to think this way. And it is kind of nice, like... It is a good source of tension within this group, especially when, like, Lisa and Taylor are two girls who are, like, head and shoulders, like, running circles around him in terms of, like, moving the plot forward. Yeah, good point. Yeah, and it's also, it is a very natural thought, I think, for anyone to have. I think, me, like, looking at, like, a 17-year-old, 16-year-old girl with this, like, facial scar, I would feel different about it than if I were looking at a 16-year-old boy. I think that sexism lives in all of us. And, of course, like, it is weird to see your friend with this huge, horrible wound that's going to scar, being like, whatever, I don't care, I'm totally fine, and be like, what's going on? Yeah. It says more about Brian's inability to see through people's bravado than it does about Taylor's ability to see through it that Taylor does. Like, it feels like... Now, that is a really interesting point. Yeah.
Brian sort of seems like someone who would be like, girls are confusing.
Absolutely. 100%. I mean, this is how I felt about his response to her confession, where he was kind of
yeah.
like, well, yeah, maybe one day I'd find the right kind of girl. Like, I forget exactly what he said. But
right. He's like, I do see girls and think they're hot. But...
right. He was just, it was so like, men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Right. When there's this girl that he really connects with, he's like, obviously she should be my best friend. Like, doesn't think of it in the same category as dating. Right.
Girls as dating objects is like a whole different socialized
category.
Thing that he's understood.
Yeah, so Lisa is obviously, I mean, of course, like, who wouldn't be upset about this attack and then this scar?
Yeah.
I don't know to what extent she's upset. I think probably she's aware that her being more pretty than not, I think was how Taylor put it, and like, you know, is a tool in her arsenal, but I wonder if she is going to be able to make this a tool as well.
Yeah. I was thinking about Vista and her scars that she hid and is sort of proud of. And I was thinking about Cherish also with her shameful tattoos. And so there is a little bit, I feel like we've seen it a lot more with women in the story so far, like disfiguring women and being a plot element. But certainly the way Brian comes off here, like Wildbow is aware of, the way that it's framed.
Yeah.
So yeah, very interesting. And I was wondering, what is the word for Lisa? It's not reckless, but it's... And then Taylor doesn't finish that thought.
I don't think I came up with a good adjective for it. Lisa is someone who whistles in the dark, is how I think about it. She's maybe more stubborn than reckless. Like, she plows through things.
Yeah.
I don't think I have a single adjective for it. Do you have one?
I like stubborn.
Yeah.
I also think that is an adjective that she and Taylor share, which is also kind of fun if that's, Taylor kind of trails off. It doesn't finish her thought.
She's someone who has bravado.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best word for it. I don't know the adjective form of that, but...
Yeah. The other thing that I liked was Brian inviting Taylor to share her analysis of him. But Taylor doesn't go for it.
No.
Because he's like, it kind of makes me wonder what you think of me. Right? Like, which to me is, I don't necessarily think Brian's being manipulative here, but I think it's really obvious that he's like, what does she think about me?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
well, she's already told him some of it. Her stuff about, she thinks of him as honorable, that everything they talked about, I think it was Arc 7, right? Like, she's already been honest with him about her perceptions. And I think that is probably why, in part, he cares so much about her perceptions. Because he's already had this experience of, like, seeing himself reflected in her and feeling uncomfortable with the ways he doesn't measure up to that.
Yeah. We're also on a run of Lisa in the middle of an arc, but Brian ending the arc, right? We had him show up to talk to her.
That's right.
After the merchants thing. And we had him show up to talk to her again here. Which is interesting because for the first book in the story, it was Lisa in that role, kind of being the confidant who Taylor checked in with at the end of an arc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's been consistent outside of 11 and 12. Though in 10, right, Brian was the most important person for her to win over when she went back to the Undersiders.
That's true.
Because, like, Alec was won over incredibly easily.
Right, and then, Lisa was already...
Lisa was already in. Bitch was never going to happen.
Yeah, unwinnable. I really do think we're going to get his interlude.
We're due. We're due. It would be great.
He's the only Undersider we haven't heard from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was wondering how Sierra was going to end that sentence of, like, that you betrayed your team, that you wanted to be a hero but couldn't. Maybe it's just Sierra's like, I don't understand why someone would want to be a hero and then not end up being one. Like, how would that happen?
I think that this is... pretty spot on, though.
Yeah.
Like, this is a true description of the narrative. So, like, we can't give Sierra that much credit, right?
Yeah.
But, like, this is the story of a girl who wanted to be a hero but couldn't, right? Like, the narrative would not let her for a million different, very carefully constructed, realistic reasons. Right. So unintentionally very insightful. I feel like Sierra is more confused than judgmental, right? Like Taylor, of course, is like, well, she must think that I'm a failure.
Right. Well, of course, that's Taylor's negative self-talk kicking in.
Yeah. I did want to, I mean, like, I sort of had a whole section of my notes that's just like, how we doing, Taylor, right? She's doing very struggling. Poorly, right?
But in other ways, she's doing really well. She has won over the hearts and minds of her territory folk, her skitizens, and is starting to put some pieces
maybe
of
by
movement.
the end of the arc.
Yeah, she has Brian not yet on her side in this, but she's just brought him into her confidence. She is physically really run down, and I think it's a good metaphor for what Brian is concerned about, that she's sort of throwing herself against this problem and getting some bruises.
Yeah. But she's again like, I didn't even know if I saved anyone. Like, I'm assuming I didn't, when I was running through the city, got to expect the worst.
She really has a negative self-talk problem. It's not as bad as Kid Wins, but it's not great.
Yes. She is struggling with anxiety, the sort of hypervigilance again. She's like, it was tough for me to fall asleep because I had to keep checking my territory to see if the villains were there.
The Slaughterhouse 9 might be after her. I'm surprised they've left her alone this long.
Yeah, and it's like, she's falling so far below her standards. She can't take any joy in anything, and she sleeps in. She gets like 4 or 5 hours of sleep instead of 2 or 3, and then she's like, this is not the start I wanted to my day. Right. And we did have her on the boat at the beginning of the arc being happy, right? She's like, I'm on a boat and I can't do anything. But now she's overwhelmed by like, I'm doing everything all the time and it's so not enough.
Yeah. It's understandable if she's facing this plan that she kind of knows on some level is doomed to rescue Dinah by just being so unimpeachably amazing that Coil can't help but give her what she wants. And she sees this other, even more doomed plan lurking behind it.
Yeah, it's also, I really relate to I don't know exactly how to characterize the feeling, but the sort of like, the most important thing to her is her plan with Dinah. And no matter how good she does at all of the other stuff, if she's not moving directly towards the Dinah thing, she won't give herself any credit.
And she's like cleaning up glass and being like, this isn't helping to save Dinah.
But like, if I get stuck on something super important to me, I can often feel like it doesn't matter, it's so hard for me to appreciate the other good parts of my life because I'm so fixated
it's
on
also
that one.
Really hard to work on something where you're like, I just need to get this over and done with.
Yeah.
If you're not like in it and like present in the moment and being like, no, this work is the substance. This is the journey. I need to enjoy it. And if you're just in it to have it be done with, like, it's very mentally damaging. Yeah.
I also wanted to note, now that all of the glass in the city has been shattered, she can't even see herself in the mirror right now.
Ooh, it's a metaphor. I mean, she is very bad at figuring out how she looks to other people.
Yeah.
Shatterbird is so damaging to infrastructure. Like, not worse than Leviathan, but like, not falling far short of him.
Definitely.
Yeah. Someone's got to take her out. It's not going to be me, but...
Just to get a pair of scissors and... cut your phone in half. I mean, we're not reading a paper copy. Yeah. The other bit of like Taylor on the edge thinking, right, when Sierra starts alerting her, she immediately goes into like, okay, swarm's on the way. Like, what tools and weapons do I have? Like she's like immediately jumping on it, which reminds me of like when the people showed up, the intruders potentially at her house when she was rescuing Danny, when she like goes back into the other room and draws her knife and is like ready to kill people. I mean,
honestly reasonable though. That's the world she's living in right now. I loved the bug maintenance. She's like sending her smallest and weakest bugs to be like sacrifices to the spiders.
I know, it's so good.
She's like, all right, you guys go get yourself eaten.
It's so good.
Another thing that would be more problematic if Regent did it with his thralls.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. One of the other things that raises Taylor's mood, right, which actually is, I think, the beginning of maybe, her raising her spirits throughout the chapter, is when she hears from Sierra that Sierra was able to save people. Or that her parents are okay. That's what it was. And then Taylor's like, that's good, and smiles, right? Like, that actually got through to her, right? The sort of like, I helped.
Yeah.
I did want to put Taylor's feet to the fire a little bit about how she goes after the heroes in talking to Sierra. Right? Because obviously there's the like, I want to be better than all of these terrible heroes better than Sophia and Armsmaster and Coil, right? But what she says to Sierra is like, oh yeah, associate with the sort of people who follow Armsmaster, right? I'd rather be working with Gru and Tattletale, like those types of people. And it's so funny, right? She's like, yeah, I'm going to name the 2 members of my team that are not murderers, right? And then I'm going to insinuate that all of the heroes follow Armsmaster, right? It's friends and enemies logic more than it is like based on a real assessment of the situation.
I mean, she does not have a very nuanced understanding of the heroes right now. She kind of was like, okay, Armsmaster, and Sophia, okay, I'm writing them all off. Which, as we saw in the arc that immediately followed that assessment of hers, that's not valid. Like, most of the wards are good people who are trying hard and work well together. And she is not able to see that because she's going on the bad apple philosophy. Yeah.
And it's just very telling that, and I don't know how much she's sort of lying to herself about it or what, but having embraced being a supervillain, she's thought to herself a lot in the past few arcs, well, I'm a supervillain, I'm a villain, I shouldn't expect more because I'm a villain, right? She cannot present even a cops and robbers version of morality to Sierra. Yeah. Right? She can't say like, well,
turns out the two sides
there's not
are
much of a difference,
equal.
right? What she's saying is like, hey, there's honor among thieves.
Suck.
Right.
There's
like
no honor among heroes.
Yeah. So like it's a really interesting insight into the more immature part of what she's doing.
I mean, that's a good point. Yeah, it's fair.
Sierra gets like a soft promotion. These minions that she's hired later in the chapter are going to be checking in with Sierra for orders, which I was excited about.
True. Sierra's a middle manager.
Oh yeah, going back to the sort of like Brian, I mean, it's a really good scene, right? There's the context in the initial beat where she's like, Brian's here to give me bad news, right? Mm-hmm. She's like bracing. There's like really descriptive body language about she's crossing her arms, turned away. She knows it's going to be bad. And it's not, but she's so braced for it and so negative that it's like it takes her a little while to warm back up. But when he comes in and he's like, you're self-destructing, Taylor, right? You can't go up against the 9 to protect people you don't even know. She says, I can. I'll manage. I feel like they're talking past each other. Brian is trying to say, don't get yourself killed over this, right? Like
Taylor's like, no, I can physically do this.
Right. And Taylor's like, I am capable of doing this without dying. Right. And again, it's like are you suicidal? And she's like, well, I figure a coin flip is worth it. And anyway, Mannequin was beatable, right? Like she really can't hear what he is actually saying. And of course, like, I get the emotional reaction of like, I wish Brian would celebrate me. I wish Brian would be like, good job, instead of coming in and like worrying and trying to second guess her and all of that.
I feel like I would definitely have had that reaction that Taylor had if someone were like, what were you doing? That was so dangerous. I'd be like, I had it under control. It was fine.
Yeah. But I think this is another example of great psychological realism in a way that pushes back against traditional narrative, because we often expect and even celebrate our heroes for being self-destructive, if not actively suicidal, because narratives often provide an out.
A good story,
from facing that head on, right? Like, no matter how bad things get, it's always darkest before the dawn. Yeah, they have plot armor, right? But like, if you think in real life, you hear that your sister, your father, your kid is going to be out doing something dangerous and heroic, you're going to have Brian's reaction.
What are you doing? Stop
and be like, are you serious? Like, are you serious right now?
Yeah, that's going to be Danny's reaction.
Flip a coin, call it heads or tails. Like, I'm not going to, like, I'm going to show you that you're wrong. I'm going to do the dumb Coil thing and show you that you're wrong. And be like, that's not worth it. There's nothing that is worth it. But in stories, right, you want people to take those risks.
Of course.
I want Taylor to take that risk.
Yeah.
But like, I don't... as annoying as it is, and as much as I also might bristle at someone doing that to me when I see myself as a hero, I like that Brian is having the normal reaction for someone he cares about. Oh, I also wanted to just say, Brian is trying to call out Taylor's comb-over in this scene. Right? You're being very un-Taylor right now. He's not necessarily doing a great job of getting her to see it, but it's interesting. I mean, maybe she doesn't even see herself the way that he sees her anymore.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I also liked a little bit of Sunbug content when Brian has to do up the back of her top. The armor at her shoulders and back. I think we talked a little bit about her Skitterland consolidation real estate plan, right? Getting everyone within range of her bugs is one very practical effect. And then also, people won't be strangers anymore like they were a couple chapters ago, which was part of the problem. Each other.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, there was some other good sort of like callbacks, right? Like her costume has a lot of wear and tear that gets brought back again. She's more lax about visibly using her power and her civilian identity. She like goes out on the balcony and is using the bugs, and she's like, oh, people probably can't see the bugs. It's like, it's not that big of a deal. And then I really liked when she is weighing whether to trust Brian, she like looks down the street to the shattered boardwalk and the ocean as she, you know, it's like calling back to Arc 8 as she is revisiting that emotional moment. I really liked the way that scene was blocked. But I think that's it. And that brings us to the end of the Plague arc.
All right. Well, I think we're going to get the trials next time. And I think the 9 are vindictive enough that now that Taylor beat up Mannequin, someone's trial is going to involve taking out Skitter.
Ooh, yeah. I love that.
Yeah, we'll see. And either way, I know that the Unravelers are going to be trying to, or at least the Undersiders are going to be trying to keep the nominees alive. So they'll be involved. Yeah.
Before next arc, though, we have an interlude.
It's going to be Brian.
Okay.
Yeah.
You love to see it. Do you want to hear the first sentence?
I do. Which
one of you dripping rectal cysts...
Okay, it doesn't really sound like it's going to be Brian.
This is in quotes.
Yep, that makes sense. Yeah, who would say that?
My questions are, who would say that, and is this their interlude?
Right, not necessarily. It sounds like it might be someone addressing our interlude character and a bunch of other people. So it'd be like a group of people, potentially the Slaughterhouse 9, but like we just got a bunch of them, so I doubt we'd be doing them right now. Like we got visibility into kind of all of them, even though we weren't in all of their heads. And we just got Hookwolf, so it's probably not the Chosen. That's merchant talk. That's that merchant guy whose name I forget, the main guy. Skidmark. I think Skidmark is talking, and I think it's going to be... Was it not Eraser?
Scrub.
It's going to be Scrub's interlude.
Ooh, yeah. That's a really fun theory.
We'll see.
Next time.
On Inchworm.
Worm is a web serial by J.C. McCrae. You can read Worm at parahumans.wordpress.com and support the author at patreon.com/wildvote. Follow us on Tumblr and Blue Sky at Inchworm Podcast, or find our Discord link and any other updates on inchwormpodcast.com.